Welcome guys to the web development series. This is our continuation of that web design thing. I'm Light from Seraph, and it is nice to have you here. And this is kind of crazy with all these logos and stuff. Web development's very overcomplicated, but we're going to simplify things here. We're going to start off with our little introduction, our little theory of what to do with web development. So, web development, what is it? Now, the goal is, drumroll, to make a website that actually does what you want. So you don't want just like a random website. You want the website to actually do what you want. And that's the goal, to build websites with web development. So, simple, easy. Now, the tools you need to build websites are all free, and you need your computer, of course. And you need a text editor or IDE, which is like where you write the code. And then you'll have your like programming languages. I'll teach you like how the syntax to write those. And the last thing, the most important thing, is documentation, the community. There's tons of help out there with like web development. You can go to like W3 Stools, and there's like all these tutorials and like code and stuff. So the documentation, so you can actually know what to do, of course. Now, remember, web dev is simple. You're just making websites. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, but it's simple. Just make the website. Okay, so what is a website? And we have this complicated drawing, of course, to show what a website is. So you can see on the left-hand side, this thing that says front end. When you go to like google.com, facebook.com, youtube.com, what you see like on your screen, like what you're actually interacting with, that's the front end. That's just like the user interface that you can like put stuff in. And like you can, if you like search something like hello and like type that into Google, then like it moves the data from there to the API. And this is your back end. You'll have like a REST API or something like that back there. But you have your front end, which is like what your user interface that you interact with, and then you send the data like in the things you interact with to the back end, which is where things are processed. And the API, it's kind of like the road that sends or the facility that's when you code it, that sends things to either the database, which holds the data to get the data and then bring it back to the front end. So it's like the middleman. So the API, like you'll interact with the front end, it'll send data to the API, and then the API will fetch the data from the database and send it back to the front end. So with like YouTube or Google, you'll search something, it'll like go in the API, it'll like do its thing with like the algorithm, and maybe it goes into the database, maybe it doesn't, maybe there's just code there with like algorithms that do something, but then it brings back like results to your front end, and that's where you get like the searches. And then down here you see this thing called third-party APIs. Well, what happens, like you don't want to create like an entire payment system, like Stripe or PayPal. That's really difficult. So they'll have APIs that like your API will interact with, so you can use them like to get the weather, or to like get like Facebook posts or whatever, like things on Facebook, or to get like payments and stuff to do that. So you'll like buy something, but the thing will be using Stripe, and the API will go to like Stripe, do the transaction, and then like confirm the payment back to your API. That's how it works. So that's how a website works. It looks really complicated, but it's really not. You'll figure it out as things go on. You just got to do it. Okay, so we talked about the front end of development. Let's go back. Front end, how things look again. And we're getting kind of complicated here. You can see the HTML. That's the images, the text, just the basic thing, all the things on the websites. You hear a train in the background. The CSS is how you style the website. These are all the programming languages. And then JavaScript is used for DOM manipulation and APIs. So we already talked about with the APIs where the application programming interfaces. It's just a fancy name. Like, you go and get data from like other websites, pretty much, from other computers. Now, DOM manipulation, DOM, document object model, that's what it stands for. It's just a fancy way to say you change what's on the website. You change like how things look, and you'll see like in games and stuff that's what it is. So those are like the three main things for front end, and then after that you'll hear about these, like, all this like stuff, like really complicated stuff like Angular, React, Vue. These are frameworks. They kind of combine the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I won't go over those because I have like a React thing. It's not very good, but I do have it. But I don't want to teach you it because it kind of overcomplicates things, and you're new to this. The SPA, it means like single page applications. It's like when you go on like Facebook or Twitter, pretty much you have like the login, and then it's pretty much just one page with all your posts and stuff for the most part. These frameworks are just made for those, pretty much, to make things more easy, like in terms of like getting data and stuff. It's like an efficiency thing. So that's the front end. On the left-hand side, you're probably thinking like, oh my God, there's like no way I can do this. And you can. You can. It's just web development, they've made it like overcomplicated. Once we start actually doing stuff, it'll be much easier. Okay, the back end, we have our API and our database. And it's like the functionality of the website. Like, what does it do? Does it do searches? Does it like show videos? Does it do like payments? Does it do like machine learning where it like points things out? I don't know. What does the website do? And that's what the database, it says database HTML. It's a typo there. It should just say database. But yeah. But here's your API again, which is kind of like the middleman between everything that connects everything. And then you have your database, which is where things are stored. Now there's a lot, this is where things become super overcomplicated. There's tons of different languages like Python, I think you've heard of that, Java with their Spring framework, JavaScript, you can use Node.js and stuff, Bootstrap, that's actually front end. I don't know why why that was put there. It should be in the front end, but Laravel, which is like with PHP, MySQL, which is a database, PostgreSQL. There's so much stuff out there, and it makes like beginners like heads want to explode. So we're gonna make things a lot simpler. Again, no web dev. It's been super overcomplicated, and that's because there's multiple ways of doing the exact same thing. So the goal here is keeping it simple, stupids. Just making sure that we can understand things. And to do that, I'm just going to teach you like the concepts, the bare bones concepts, and then one particular way of doing things. And then once you figure out that one particular way of doing things, you can be like, I know how to do authentication, or I know how to do routing, or I know how to do templating, or I know how to do what else? Files in like this particular thing. Now I can just go on the documentation for this other thing and then look up how to do it here. So it's about learning the concepts and knowing how to do it one way so you can move on to doing it every single way. It's not as hard once you start doing it. Okay, so how do you become a web developer? You practice. I'll give you some exercises after each lesson to just do, to go out there to just challenge yourself. And it's okay if you fail and you can't do it. There's tons of help out there. And I'm going to give you the code too, so you can look up everything. Just the failure's good because you learn a lot. That's where you actually learn things. So practice and then do the exercises I'll give you. I won't give you one after this one because it's just like theory and stuff. And then eventually you're going to need to go out there and build your own portfolio of like all of these like tons of projects, you know. And if you want, you can like build your own website that for you, or you can apply to jobs. You can put all your portfolio items and be like, hey, I've made this stuff, you know, check it out. And the employers, they'll be able to look at what you've done. You will have to practice like interview questions, of course. There are particular coding interview questions too, but you can look that up and apply. So that's how you become a web developer. Now, finally, in the last section, and the next section after this video, there's another video. But in that video, we're going to go over WordPress, because sometimes you don't need to code. Remember, the goal of web dev is just building websites. So you want to do things as simple as possible and as easy. And with WordPress, you'll be able to start literally immediately, which is awesome. And it's free too. So we'll go over that in the next video, and we'll start building websites. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and go to the WordPress, website thing, because we need to start. We're going to start practicing, and then after that, we'll go on to like how to actually code.